One of the reasons I think this industry exists is golf holidays are really complex itineraries, and often people just don't want to do it themselves. And I completely get that. Even though I work in this industry, I wouldn't relish the idea of putting together a golf trip for 16 guys and then trying to make it all work. So that's where this industry thrives, is that we take care of all of that and make it easier on people to book what they want to book.
By mentioning itineraries, and you also mentioned inspiration. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Reframe First. I'm Alexei, the host of the podcast, and let me welcome our today's guest, Chris Martin, Director of Product and Technology at Golf Escapes. Hi Chris, it's great having you here.
Hi, thank you very much for inviting me on. An unusual place for me to be, but yeah, I'm excited to get started and have a chat.
And thanks a lot for joining. And from what I learned about the company, Golf Escapes is UK golf holiday tour operator for 20 more years in business since 2002.
So it's got quite a long history. The old owner is quite well known in the industry. I started it in 2002-3 time, so maybe even a little bit more than that. And he actually retired shortly after COVID. I think, a lot of people in travel decided they'd had enough after that. And the business was bought out by the existing board of directors. It's been going from strength to strength, but it's a well-trusted brand in the industry for quite a long time.
Yeah, it's quite a long time. 20-something years, it's already a lot. So the company specializing in tailor-made golf holidays.
Yeah, so
events, golf schools. So could you tell us more about what the business is doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So the company was built on golf holidays to Portugal and Spain originally for just FIT customers. It's since grown to become much larger than that. So we offer all over the world, Asia, South Africa. We do America as well, Caribbean, that kind of, but mainland Europe as well, and the UK. And we also, one of the largest parts of our business now and a huge area of growth for us is pro tuition trips, where a professional takes away a group of 7 to 15 amateurs and teaches them, mostly in the wintertime. Obviously in the UK, golf in the winter is pretty miserable. So people like to get away, and professionals run clinics for their students, and they go to all different parts of the world and teach them in lovely settings. It's a really, really popular type of trip, and it's a really, if I'm honest, any professional that I meet, I think, you should be doing this, because it's a great way to teach your students, and it's a business. They do well out of it. We've got some really successful pros. Our number one client is actually one of our professionals. He travels all over the place, and yeah, it's a huge part of our business, as well as we run pro-ams, week-long or 5-day-long trips, which are tournaments. So they have up to sort of 150 people on the trip playing in a tournament format of 3 or 4 competitive rounds in a team with a professional. But yeah, it's that's kind of the basis of what we're selling.
I've seen if you got quite a long list of golf courses that you are selling, so it's hundreds of them.
Yes, the general rule of thumb with product. So I started as a contract manager here before I became director of product and technology. And the general rule with golf courses, we will sell almost anyone. Hotels, we're more particular about and selective. We try to keep it streamlined, but ultimately some golf courses, there are some top golf courses that draw in the names and are well known, renowned throughout the world, and we sell those as well. But generally, you get some really obscure requests from clients. So we try to contract as many golf courses as possible because they are all unique, and some people just really want to play that random golf course in the middle of nowhere. So we do our best to cover everything.
By saying obscure requests, what do you mean?
And so, some clients will come along with their prefixed itinerary. Obviously, we predominantly sell people. They talk to us about what they would like, and we know with our expert knowledge we travel to everywhere that we sell. So someone's been there if we've got it on our website generally. And so if a client comes to us and wants inspiration, that's absolutely where we shine. But we do get requests from clients that come along and they know what they want. These are the courses and this is where I want to play. So and that can include, I mean, I've had some really random requests for, particularly in France. France is not such a commercial entity for golf courses. A lot of them tend to be more private, so they're harder to get onto. So, but they are also very top golf courses. So you can get a lot of odd requests for places you potentially have never even heard of. Even as a contract manager of golf courses, you'd be like, where is that? But fortunately, being in this industry, you know how to find out the price and locate, contact the right people and facilitate a trip. One of the reasons I think this industry exists is golf holidays are really complex itineraries, and often people just don't want to do it themselves, and I completely get that. Even though I work in this industry, I wouldn't relish the idea of putting together a golf trip for 16 guys and then trying to make it all work. So that's where this industry thrives, is that we take care of all of that and make it easier on people to book what they want to book.
By mentioning by mentioning itineraries, and you also mentioned inspiration. What do you package in the trip? Is it only hotel and the
So
golf course?
we will do door to door if you require. So we can include flights. The biggest change in the industry in recent years is everyone wants transfers. A few years ago, it was car hire and accommodation and golf. These days, it's transfers. I think people like to. It's relaxed. If someone's picking you up, taking you to the golf club, dropping you off, afterwards you can have some beers, you can do, relax in the sunshine and not worry. So transfers is a huge part of our itinerary building, and one of the more complex elements. Club hire as well, so we will offer the full package. If you just want to go away, we can do everything. And we do bolt-ons. So something that we try to advertise quite a lot is that we're not just sending people to play golf. Particularly in South Africa, we do sort of wine tours and expeditions. Same in Thailand, same in Mauritius. The additional experiences. Wine tasting is quite a nice pairing with golfs. We will offer a complete trip. We will do the basics as well, just golf. If you called us and wanted 3 rounds of golf on your trip, we can book that. But we will also do very complicated, unique requests and do our best to facilitate whatever you're asking for, really.
Yeah, that was my follow-up question, but you partially answered it already. But still, what kind of act requires besides like wine tasting and some excursions?
Um,
What do people usually want? Some local experience.
it's so varied, but I mean, just as an example, I'm due to go on an exploration trip in a couple of weeks to Thailand, and some of the extras that they offer are day trips to things like floating markets. So obviously, if you go to a country in Asia or particularly Thailand, something you should probably see when you're there is the floating markets, because they're amazing. I've been before, and they're so unique, and it's such a exceptional experience that it would be foolish of us not to be able to offer that. You don't need to book it through us. You could book it yourself through and find out when you're there. But that kind of thing exists everywhere you go. There's always unique experiences to the destination you're going to. So we will, I use wine tasting as an easy example. We sell Rioja as a region. You can't go to Rioja and then not go wine tasting. It's one of the most famous regions in the world. So, but addition, like a lot of our destinations the requests are all inclusive. So this tends to be really big resorts that offer massive amount of experience. So Mauritius is a really good example. Beautiful tropical island in the Pacific. The all-inclusive resorts there offer excursions included, whether that be day trips to waterfalls, boat trips, and the like. So we can facilitate all of that. And sometimes we will book it, but other times it will quite simply be putting you in the right hotel that allows you then, when you're on the ground, to choose your activities. There's all different types of people. Some people want a fixed itinerary. This is what I'm going to do this day, this day, this day, this day. And other people want to get there, arrive on day one. They know the golf's booked, but after that, they've got choices, whether it be bike rides, hikes, whatever it may be. And so that's just about putting someone in the right resort and having that local knowledge.
Yeah, so like it's fully packaged experiences, like door to door, fully packaged ones.
Exactly.
Yeah, awesome. And what kind of like traveler segment is that? Is it right to say that like golf is for the rich? It's like it's a luxury segment.
It's an interesting question. I mean, we do like generally golf holidays are someone's second holiday. A lot of the time, which does suggest, it's a more wealthy clientele. But I don't think it's exclusively that anymore. I think there is a lot of options for younger guys. Golf has experienced a real resurgence since COVID. So it's a hugely popular sport and becoming more and more accessible, which is less. There's less barriers now. There's plenty of clubs that you can go to that in the UK that aren't exclusive. They're affordable. Driving ranges everywhere. There's a lot of experiences, bars, and that in the UK now that offer golf, and so people are getting into it. And what I'd say to that is we've got destinations that just aren't that expensive for a holiday. We recently, in the last couple of years, we've been pushing Tunisia, which is really. I went there in 23 and I was very surprised by the sort of level of golf courses that I found. And it's become a real push for them to drive tourism. But you can go to. I was just listening to someone quote it quite literally before this phone call. And you can go to Tunisia for a week, 4 rounds, not including flights, all inclusive for £650. So 7 nights plus 4 rounds of golf plus your transfers. That's a very reasonable amount, and you could reduce that to 5 nights, 3 rounds. So you're not talking out of the reach of like too many people. It is dependent on person. That being said, you've got other itineraries that we put together. I was listening to one the other day. It's going to cost £9,000 a person. So there's swings and roundabouts to that. Yeah. To that comment. But yeah, there's loads of accessible courses. And also, you don't have to go abroad. We sell the UK. So you can jump in your car and go and do 2 nights away with the guys from your golf club at a resort in the UK or a few golf courses in the town. So I think I believe it's more accessible than it's ever been. But that being said, it is an industry. We are a business. And one of the reasons for selling this type of trip is that, there is market for that. It can be more expensive, and therefore, as a business, you make higher margin.
Yeah, I see. And you mentioned that like younger generation is also jumping into golf. And what's the usual demographics? Is it like spread evenly across the generations?
So our demographic is older. Generally speaking, our core customer base is between 40 and 60. And as I said, the reason for that, it tends to be people's second holiday. And you really, in your state in life, you're not at a point where you're having second holidays until you reach a point in your career where perhaps that's possible. So when 40 to 60 is general, but we book young people as well. One of the trips that I got recently is a group of 18-year-olds, which has been kind of interesting for the sales agent because of the way that they communicate with him is very different. He was saying that the emails that they were sending were more like WhatsApp messages. So like one after the other, like one line in each one, just bang, 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 bang. But I think we will case for anyone, and we can find the right destination for anyone. A lot of the destinations in Europe, often the question is, can we walk out to bars and restaurants? What is there? And Costa del Sol and Marbella is, big nightlife place. It's got golf as well, and that caters for more of the younger clientele. They want to go out, play some golf, but they want to go to bars and clubs and beach, restaurants and exciting places. I think there's a huge variety. I wouldn't want to box us into one area with a clientele base. I think we can find something for everyone.
You already mentioned that the trend that golf courses are becoming more affordable and that younger generation is jumping into that. What other trends do you see recently? Like, what other trends have you noticed over last year or 2 years of time? Maybe post-COVID.
What I think I would say about travel and particular, I mean, golf travel in general, but trends are really hard to identify. So like booking seasons, we have busy booking seasons. January, people have finished Christmas, they're sad, they want to put something in the diary that they are excited for. So January's a busy booking month. And then for us, travel our travel months are also busy. Our busy travel months are also busy booking months because people come back and book next year straight away. They've been with the group of people they go with. But what we've noticed is actually there's less peaks and troughs in booking season now. So actually it's a bit of a flatter curve. We've seen, I mean, we're a company that's growing quite nicely. We've seen decent growth over the last 3-4 years. And that might explain a little bit why the curve's flattened for us. But there is less traditional booking seasons than it used to be. I've been in this industry 6 years, and it used to be very much January was the massive month, and then September, October were huge months as well, with some other reasonable sized months. Whereas now you're seeing a much more even spread, and those busy booking months are more like, it's as opposed to being one at a time, two or three. So we see September, it starts to build and it goes right to the end of November now. That's in terms of booking season. And actually, we're seeing that November is almost the biggest month, whereas it used to be sort of October. And same in the beginning of the year. It's a nice time to be part of a business that's, we're busy, inquiries are high, and people are generally interested. It's another trend that we've noticed. It's obviously how you engage with people, how you generate those inquiries. Social media presence, it's become a lot more important. I mean, that's an obvious one, I would say, these days, but it's a lot harder to also measure whether you got an inquiry from social media. Just you need to have a presence as a following. It'd be great if we had 50,000 people that followed our business on Instagram, for example. But and to do that, you have to invest in Instagram and invest in influencers, etc., which can be, a minefield to find the right people that suit your brand and that have the same ethos as you guys. And you might invest that money, and it's quite hard to then gauge whether that's really, generating inquiries for you or just building your brand awareness, which isn't a bad thing. But so I think that's something that I think we would um, is a bit of a struggle. Is the marketing mix is so vast now, and identifying where the best places to invest in is a delicate process. I think we've done quite well in that area, I must say, but it's things move very quickly now. So one day, you know, Instagram is the most important thing in the world, and you must be really high on that, and the next day it might not be. It'll be the next fact.
With regards to, you mentioned the change of seasonality. It's not maybe the change of seasonality is rather that it flatten out somehow. I've heard like from other businesses something similar, that where it used, like for instance, where January used to be the highest selling month, is no longer is, and it just flattens out over the rest of the year. What do you think is the reason for that?
I think for us, I think we see a lot more people booking a bit further ahead now. So January used to be, I'm going to book my trips for the year, and I can call up and I'll book May because that's when I want to go, or I can call up and book September because that's when I want to go. But what I would say is that the key destinations in golf for Europe are southern Portugal and southern Spain, and the fact is, and Turkey. So those three destinations are the big three that we book in Europe. And the fact is now, because it's so popular, you need to book 12 months in advance. Therefore, if you're traveling in May, you must book for next May. And so I think one of the reasons for the flattening of the curve is that you can't just book everything in the beginning of the year and go May, September, October, because there's no availability left. So you need to be out ahead of that, and you need to go on your trip, come back and book it again. And in some cases, even 18 months. If you're talking some of the top destinations in the UK, you will not get availability unless you are very far in advance.
I see. In your case is basically dictated by the availability by supply. It's not by the buyer behaviors, because usually, it's quite often that Americans, they do book everything around December, Thanksgiving, Christmas. That's when they plan the next year.
Yeah.
Europeans, especially Germans, do it in January because that's when they plan the next year. But this case is dictated by the availability.
I think so.
Also, yeah, that's interesting observation. Thanks for that. Yeah, in terms, like you mentioned a lot about Instagram, about influencers, and about actually your customer acquisition. What is what are your main customer acquisition channels? And did they change recently? Like my own business, we noticed that like Google's behavior has changed a lot. Organic traffic has changed a lot. And if you're dependent on paid traffic, you can control it. If you're dependent on organic, it's really hard to control from Google update to Google update.
Yeah, it's a really interesting point. We only a few years ago did we start implementing paid traffic, so paid
Yeah.
advertising. We were a little late to the curve, but we've had a really successful run of paid advertising, and it's really boosted our inquiries. What I find very interesting about Google's most recent update is they seem to have torpedoed their own business model in terms of paid advertising, because the new AI overviews are generating a huge amount of zero-click searches because of so it's what I think on that front. I think we've got a nice balance at the moment where paid advertising, our organic SEO is constantly worked on. We've got a huge website because we have so much product and so many destinations. So we are meticulously going through tweaking our SEO organic written content to create a large improvement on the website. If you change one page on a website, it's not going to change your organic SEO in performance. But if you change 100 pages with small changes over a period of time, it will improve your SEO. But I find SEO very frustrating because it's not something you can quickly measure. So you could put loads of work in, and then you'd need to wait 6 months, and you might have got it wrong, and it might do nothing. Which is really hard to then justify in a small business spending that time in the first place. But if you believe in what you're doing and you do it correctly and you seek the right advice, you can get it right. And I think we are doing that. Our paid advertising is split across the traditional channel, the social media and Google, etc., and our SEO. I think the interesting thing about the AI update recently with Google is it seems to have reverted back to decent organic SEO. You need to have good quality content and original content to appear in AI overviews, which for a long time, organic content was kind of being pushed further and further down the page because so many people had, paid advertising at the top. And now you're seeing a bit of a reverse in trend, or reverting back in trend, because organic SEO is important. It's what large language models are picking up on. Where's the original content? Where's the actual answer to this question that's being asked? And going out and bringing you in. So, it's an interesting time for website performance. I think anyone looking at their data in the last 12 months will have, had to rub their eyes and go, what's just happened there? Because of good, specifically because of Google updates, where suddenly the click-through rates drop through the floor and you think, oh my God, what's happened to my website? And actually, no, it's fine. The phone's still ringing and I'm still getting inquiries. So it's a very difficult thing to navigate. It's changed very quickly.
But still, like organic is your main source, from what I understand, of user traffic.
Yeah, I think we've got a good balance of the two. Yeah, Google's still a good organic website at the moment. Still seems to be, a cornerstone for any business.
I hear like a lot of people using of AI nowadays to generate content for their websites, especially like when you have a lot of golf courses. I've seen like hundreds of them, and you have different types of packages there and whatever. It's all of that multiplies, and it's a lot of pages. Probably you sell it multilingual. I have not checked, so it's a lot of content. Are you using something in that regard?
I think the hardest thing with when you have a lot of content, a lot of hotels and a lot of golf courses, with the best will in the world, describing 1,000 golf courses differently is quite challenging. They are unique and they are different, and so are hotels. I would only say that organic, authentically written content is obviously the goal. AI is very good for bringing in, I think, for helping you generate, but you need to write it yourself. So we have, I think, quite a good balance. AI helps us find the information that we're going to curate, but we don't use it to write the content so much. We always, the final draft is always kind of handwritten, I would say, because, and I would say, I was reading about this the other day, AI kind of is quite samey. there's a word I can't. I think I want to say it's tranquil or tranquility. There's a word that it always uses when we've noticed that I can't. It might not be that. It's something like that. That it always uses when describing. And I'm not. It'll it'll get much cleverer as as it by the day, by the hour, and that might change. But I think you can tell AI written content still. It is, and it from one to the next, it's the tone of voice is quite monotone, I would say. So we do use it, but the phrase that always rings true in my head when it comes to AI is a fool with a tool is still a fool. So like you have to use the tool correctly to make it to harness its power, which is hugely powerful, but you shouldn't also rely on it solely to do everything for you, because until it becomes AGI, I don't think that's really the way to create content or to do anything much in your business. You still need to be checking on it to make sure it's producing what you want it to produce.
Yeah, you can implement a lot of guardrails around, but still, like somebody needs to check what's being produced. That's what I hear. The people do produce a lot with AI, but to be successful, there should be a human who is reviewing that in the end and to that in the end. Yeah, sure. And what prevents you from growing very fast nowadays? Is it supply or is it demand?
What prevents us from growing very quickly is probably us ourselves. I think we've grown really steadily, sort of 15 to 20% the last 3 years, 3 4 years every year, and we're on a nice path. One of the reasons for that is we're carefully building foundations for bigger growth. I think I've worked in companies that grow very quickly, and they struggle to keep up with themselves, and their infrastructure doesn't follow suit, and then they spend their time. They might be bigger, but then they've got a lot of infrastructure work to do when they're at the top, and that puts you in a precarious position in travel. I think travel is a volatile industry on its own without also not doing your due diligence on the way up. So we are on a good growth path, but every day with travel, there could be another COVID tomorrow. So I think if you're not built on solid foundations, you're just asking yourself, you're putting yourself in a precarious position. So we obviously, if I had a magic wand, I would love to have an infinite budget to develop technology to bring everything in as quickly as possible. More people, more developers, more technological advancements. But I think that's not realistic, and that's not business. Like we use I think our budgets are strict, and we're careful with that. So we're building carefully and well with a view that that should set us up for more growth, bigger growth. But as long as you're growing, I think you're going in the right direction. I don't think you need to grow really, really quickly.
Sure. And what keeps breaking continuously as you grow? Is it technology? Is it like business processes that are in place?
I think
What's the limitation?
the limitations. So our businesses, we develop in house. The limitations are that we're a small team. It's always there's a few people that are capable of taking our technology further forward. But obviously, with a limited number of people, you can't move as quickly. And technology is a fast-moving industry. The limitations are, we can see what we want to achieve, and we know the roadmap and the route to that. But remaining within budget and within our resources means we can't get there as quickly. And my concern on that front would be, you need to get there. You want to setting your goals out and achieving your goals. But I think we've fortunately for us, because we started a few years ago with our advancements, we've made a significant inroads um, to our technological development. So in the next few months, I think we'll see some really nice things come together, as you no doubt have experience with. When you build when you add your first update, it's never perfect. It's just the first launch of, first iteration of whatever you've developed. And then you have to tinker with it, play with it, use it. It has to be out in the wild and be used for you to understand what you've got right and what you've got wrong and what needs changing. And we've been doing that for the last couple of years, and we're sort of coming to a point now where a lot of what we've built is coming together. So I think I'm hopeful that we're in a place where things are about to come together and hopefully help us accelerate a bit faster.
Yeah, having technology limitation is a good problem to have nowadays because harder problem to have is supply and demand problems. Because They are much harder to work through. In the age of AI, having technology limitation is, achievable to fix.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. What are you building right now in terms of, I don't know, growing your product presence, like a technology, and what are your bets about the future?
We,
What are you building?
from a product perspective, we're about to launch Thailand as a new destination for us. Like I said earlier, I'm going on a trip. So we're building our long haul programs more. Just before COVID, we'd started the same process. Um, we were keen to get people further afield and explore more far-reaching destinations. But COVID really reined that in, and after COVID, we went right back to the core value of the business, which was European golf holidays. But since then, we've slowly built the long haul back out, and Thailand is our next big bet. We've just created all the content, all the pages, all the organic SEO should be hopefully really good, and we're running some PPC for that, and that's our next big target market. Golf out there is supposed to be amazing. The experience is supposed to be very, very good. And those trips are a bit longer, which, is good for clients, good for us. And they tend to include what we were talking about earlier, sort of extra experiences, floating markets, day trips, etc. So we're excited by that from a product perspective. From a technology perspective, we're about to launch a new booking area. So we've been kind of working through the process of sale. So we started with our quote builder and our itinerary builder, and we've that's working really well now. And we're working on our sort of booking management area. That should be launching in the next few weeks, which is really exciting because it's been a long time coming and it's been really needed. And what that will do is bring together a lot of background technology that was developed, but you couldn't really use it or see it because it was built with a view that this is for the next phase. But in order to harness it within our booking system, we need this final piece of the puzzle. So the booking area will be launched soon. Effectively, what that is doing is focusing in on a huge amount of automation through the sort of smaller tasks that the admin tasks that should be automatic that weren't basically. It's and that will be exciting because the main focus for us as a business is the client, and we want to free up the people that work here to focus on the client, not on the admin.
If you could chat about numbers, not the revenue numbers, like numbers in general in this kind of industry segment, because I'm not really aware of them. What's the average net revenue from a booking, from a golf course booking,
Uh,
in terms of percentage? I'm trying to understand like
so it's
the
in
number.
question. So we work, like I say, it's such a competitive industry. So there's a lot of people. It really depends, as any business, it depends on your overheads. If you work on your own and you book a handful of people a year, you probably can go a bit lower. If you're a startup, we come across some horrendous price match margins, which just make you want to throw up. So there are some people out there that are trying to take their share of the industry who sell at borderline cost 3-4%, which is not sustainable for any business. But as an average, so there's two market leaders in this business. A few years ago, they were building their share and they went very low. But these days, they're strong market leaders, and they both have their strengths, and they're kind of selling at somewhere, but depending on destination, they sell somewhere between sort of 8 to 15% margin, and that varies so much depending on destination. But that's kind of your ballpark. So if you're as a business, if you're somewhere around that, then you're probably about right in the industry. It's if that being said, if you've got £100,000 trip and you don't fix your margin at 15%, if you'll take 10% on £100,000 trips, it's so subjective. It is so subjective. We know what we need to sell at. We have baselines and we know what we need to sell at to make money on any booking. But then also we very much want to look after our clients. And keep them booking with us. So we recently launched a loyalty points scheme. It launched at the beginning of 2025, and so when we gave out a load of points to our top clients, and our clients are accruing points by booking with us. So again, that changes the margin because they can use them, that they're in play, and the idea is that they keep going back to us, and we offer those people that are loyal to us further discounts on what we can already do.
And what's the biggest driver of the cost? Is it like Usually it's client acquisition because it's the biggest competitive niche and everybody's competing for the client. But how is it in your business? Client acquisition, customer support, booking process. Well, what is that? Because like when you book a trip for your client, you kind of support them through the whole trip.
Yeah, so,
So
I mean, as a business, we've had the Platinum Service FIFA Award for 4 years in a row, and so we are there for our client for every stage of the journey. Some people call up, book their trip. We don't hear from them again until they leave and then come back. Other people call us every day, and we're there for that too. These are the trips. Sometimes these are the once in a lifetime trips for people that it's a really special thing. So our biggest probably driver of cost is the support network that goes with these trips. They are complicated. That is, like I said, I maintain that's why this industry exists. They are very complicated. An end-to-end booking solution off the shelf doesn't really exist. So you can buy components that will get you automatic access to inventory, but you need to bring them all together yourself in an aggregator, which is kind of what we do. The infrastructure that supports the trips is complex, and it needs those people, the staff, to the admin team, the sales team to support a client. So I think that's the biggest driver of cost for us, is making sure we've got that infrastructure in place. And these are high value trips. People are spending thousands and thousands of pounds. So if it's important that our trust signals are high, because if you're going to part with that sort of money, you want to part with that sort of money with a reputable company that you can trust. It's not just about when it goes right either. If something goes wrong with our trips, which it can do, we're there and fixing it for the person as best we can. We try and fix problems when they're on the trip, so that they can still enjoy the rest of their trip. And that that drives cost, obviously.
so it's not the booking process. It's not the itinerary creation. It's rather supporting them, supporting the travelers through their itinerary.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, and for sure the customer acquisition,
I think
because it's all.
we have another cost factor for us is we have been investing in our technology, and as you know, technology can get expensive, so that has driven cost as well. For the last few years, we've been in a phase of investment, but it's manageable. That's more controllable as well. That is something you can stop at any given time if you think, at the moment things are a bit volatile. We won't continue with this investment.
Since you are in business for like 20 something years, yesterday I had an interview with a guy from the industry of boat rental. There is a huge fleet of 21,000 boats, and they have a platform where you can come over and rent a boat. And because of necessity, they started using AI extensively, and they managed like they're also in business for a long time. They have a huge amount of documentation of previous customer responses, the cases, or the guidelines, and so on. So managed to create AI agents that basically saves them customer support time. So they managed to reduce the team of 10, I guess from 10 down to 2 people of customer support, but still reducing the customer support response time down to 10 minutes by just having proper AI agents in place who using all that knowledge base automatically can respond to like about 50% of inquiries requests from users, and can provide like suggestions for the rest 50%, can provide suggestions for the customer support personnel. I think it should be like case for you either, because like you are 22 years in business, you have quite a lot of cases, documentation, and like internal in-house knowledge base, because AI is not perfect when you just ask your LLM, just give me something to answer. But if you give LLM the knowledge base, it should be capable to search through the knowledge base easily and provide you the response.
Yeah.
Are you doing something in that regard? Because it sounds like
Um, so
it could
we are fortunate.
save you.
We are fortunate that our database is very data rich. It goes quite far back. And in recent years, we've hugely developed our own reporting system. So we are able to act on the data very easily. It's very manageable, very viewable. But in terms of your question, AI is something that we are exploring in a number of different areas as to how best to use it, and it is being integrated. I think what's interesting that you said there, obviously they were able to reduce their team size for customer service. At this point, I think what we're trying to do is we're trying to grow without necessarily needing to grow the business size from a personnel perspective. And I think that's where AI was going to help us, and not just AI, technology development in general, because it's automating processes. It's a difficult one to say, like, exactly. I mean, there's a few areas we're going to use it. We are already using it, but development in general is, I think, one of the best areas to use it, because having used a few LLMs myself to try and build certain aspects of our code and etc. You need to know what you're asking for, and then you need to know how to implement it. I find AI very enthusiastic when you talk to it about how it's going to do this, it's going to do that, it's going to do this. And, there's so many, again, already there's so many choices of LLMs now that it's hard to know which one's the best one for the thing that you're trying to do. And, it's a difficult industry to navigate, because people,
It doesn't matter because it will change tomorrow.
exactly. And again, what I mentioned it earlier, from our perspective, our trust signals is really important. But AI is so young that there aren't, trust signals aren't really a thing. There's not a lot of review, and but there's a lot of money in it, and there's a lot of people trying to sell it. And, it's finding the right partner for you. I think we've got a good plan for how to implement it and what we're going to use it for. But it's, as you said, it could change tomorrow, and you might find the right thing, the right platform for the one thing you're trying to build, but the next day you need something else. So it's managing it and managing expectations of what it can do.
Yep, sure. So, Chris, thanks a lot for this discussion.
Right.
You mentioned you have 30 to 40 minutes. It's already 46. Don't really want to waste your time anymore. That was insightful. This is a new area of travel industry for me. I learned something. Thanks a lot for that. Before we wrap it up, do you have anything else you would like to add on top of what we discussed?
I think, no, I think, as you said, it sort of flew by 45 minutes of chat. So no, I mean, that was really interesting, and thank you. And thank you for reaching out. Kind of surprised. Yeah, it was good.
Thank you too. Thanks a lot, and have a great day and have a great vacation that you are planning.
You too. Take care. Yeah. Bye. Thank you. Bye.